Hello, my name is Danielle Nowak. I'm the Access Services Librarian at the Sterling Morton Library and a member of the Chicago Open Archives Planning Committee. Today we're here to talk about past and future Chicago Open Archives participants. I'm here with Michelle Rinard, the Manager of Education and Events of the International Museum of Surgical Science. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
To get us started off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So, I work for the International Museum of Surgical Science. I've been there for about 2 years now, and I started as the visitor services assistant and now the manager of education and events, and that pretty much is encompassing of many museum duties since we are such a small staff. So it's really overseeing the museum, the operation side of it. So I do education, programming, private events, and just overseeing daily visitors come to the museum.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your audience and who generally comes into the museum?
The museum, we see a wide variety of audiences. We do get a lot of tourism of people coming into Chicago internationally or around the country. We're kind of a destination for the hidden things to do in Chicago. So a lot of people read about us as kind of off the beaten path, what things that the locals know about. But then we also do get a lot of medical professionals, so doctors and surgeons interested in seeing the history of medicine and surgical science. And then we have a lot of medical schools here in Chicago, so we get a lot of the medical students. We host a lot of CPS students for field trips.
Okay, and so what are some of your more popular items or collections?
I would definitely say that many of the exhibits are really popular, like the original exhibits that we have that were commissioned for the museum. One of them is called the Hall of Immortals, which is 12 stone statues depicting important figures throughout medical history. And just the image of that room with all the statues is very iconic for the museum. We also have a commissioned mural room called the Hall of Murals, which has 12 murals of some of the very same people in the Hall of Immortals depicting important scenes of their lives throughout medical history. So those two exhibits really teach people an overview of medical history, the discovery of human anatomy, understanding of human anatomy, the discovery and use of antisepsis and anesthesia. And those themes are present throughout the whole museum. And then we also have just some really interesting collections that people really enjoy, like an original apothecary that was donated by Mr. Walgreen in the 1960s. So it's all original tinctures and powders and medicines from the 1800s, all preserved in this historic apothecary.
Oh, that's super interesting. So this is going to be your first time participating with Chicago Open Archives, correct?
Yes, me personally. The museum was a participant 2 years ago, I believe, but it's my first time organizing the program for this year.
What do you think your program's going to look like this year?
So we already have it outlined. The theme of this year's Open Archives is Illinois Bicentennial. So we really wanted to work around that theme. In the museum, it does have a lot of collections and archives that are Illinois specific, some prominent Illinois doctors and other medical professionals. So I've been going through the archives to see what we have the most of and the most prominent so that people can come in and not only learn about the archives but about these prominent Chicago and also Illinois doctors and professionals. And then just in general, the International College of Surgeons has a collection of its own history, so highlighting that as well. I'm envisioning the program to look like different stations where people can learn about a specific Illinois doctor at each table.
Awesome. Sounds really interesting. So do you have any advice for someone that might be interested in participating?
I think from my perspective, we are a smaller institution looking to add this program to our general programming, and I think that it could really fit into any type of programming that you're already doing. I think that for us, I felt that it was important for us to be really open to sharing our archives and collections with the general public, especially archives that are not normally on display. I think it'll open people up to more of what we have as an institution and get them excited to keep coming back to the museum and discovering new things about us.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Chicago Area Archivists COA podcast. We would like to thank Chicago Area Archivists, Chicago Open Archives Planning Committee, engineer Allison Shine Holmes, and WFMT for their time and effort.